All right.
We're live, fellas.
Morning, everybody.
Here we are.
Love
We got
it.
Ben, Dom. We're missing a little part of the team here. Just no big deal. Guys are too busy for us. All jokes aside, Brandon has a doctor's appointment this morning, so you guys are stuck with us three. Ben came up with a really good topic. We're going to be talking about good and potentially bad sales experiences outside of the real estate industry. And then we'll connect some dots and how it relates to some of the principles we teach and how to apply those to real estate. So teeing this up, Ben, I know you got ants in your pants. We were talking about this last week about having this topic. So why don't you kick us off with some of your experiences and we'll just jam.
Yeah, for sure. I just think I think we've all had like bad sales experiences, and especially being in sales ourselves when run into these people that are cold calling us or we're at a store and we're going through a process. We just kind of cringe, right? And it's so hard sometimes not to like coach them up or whatnot to help them. But recently, my wife and I are in the process of moving, and we met with a moving company and just had a phenomenal experience. And kind of being somebody that knew where he was going when he was asking questions was like, it was just a really, I guess, even knowing the formula that he was kind of trying to take us through, it was still a really enjoyable experience. So I'll share kind of three of those points, and then we can kind of jam on it. And then I'd love to hear some other stories. But the first thing was, soon as he got there, he started with, hey, I know you guys are probably interviewing 2-3 other moving companies. You know, where do I stack? Is this your first experience going through this? Or like, am I first? Or have you guys met with 2-3 other companies already? And it's like, oh, that was so good. Right. So, starting with that, what do you guys think about that experience being something that we use in real estate?
Well, Dominic, I don't mean to take away from you if you're itching to say something, but the first thing that comes to my mind is something that we teach a lot of, which is like the first thing he does is he knows the objections he's going to be getting right away.
That's exactly right.
And so he's like, and he's cool with it, you know, and not only does he know the objection, and not even that it's an objection, like that, I think this is a little bit of a side point, but we need to understand the difference between an objection and just like a fact, you know, like a concern or a situation. Like typically people do interview a couple of, moving companies or roofers or whatever it might be. And so if he were to handle that like an objection, it could have gone different, but he knew that that's something that comes up. And now that he knows that, by asking another good question about understanding where he's at, if he's the first person coming in, the way he's going to, interact with you guys and walk you through the process is probably going to be different than if he was the third person. He might ask some other questions about the other moving companies and some of the things they're doing. And so it gives him like kind of a lay of the land of where he's at in your sales process. And it's just great.
All right, real quick, and then we'll get right back to the content. If you're a real estate agent, you're looking to build a listing-based business, a business where you can generate a multiple six-figure income, a business that doesn't require you to waste thousands of dollars on the new marketing gimmicks, then I'm going to invite you to click the link right underneath this video to learn about our Listing Agent Academy coaching program. This is a 6-month intense coaching system that more than 3,000 agents from every market all over the country have now gone through. And here's the reality. Here's the truth. I will shoot you straight. This program is not for everyone. This is for agents who value being around winners. They value being in a community of other real estate agents that actually show up, that actually put forth the work. And this is for agents that embrace high levels of accountability and visibility. To get the details, all you have to do is click the link beneath this video. You can schedule a coaching consultation, and then you can decide for yourself. So with that being said, let's jump back into the content.
Can I ask you a question, Ben?
Fire.
So did you end up talking to any other movers?
Negative.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because it was such a smooth process, very transparent. Felt like I had full autonomy to make the decision. And a big piece, which we experience as real estate agents, if you have that with the first person, why continue to shop around?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And they were a referral, right? So that helps a lot as well.
Yep. Have you ever worked with a moving company in the past?
Negative.
Okay. So I have, and I would just share with you that they've never offered that level of experience. And I've used several different movers over the years, and it's nothing like what you're describing. Yeah, so that would have set them apart immediately.
Yeah,
no doubt. And I've only done local, right? So, the classic 2 men in a truck or something.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing going into this that we went into, which maybe people go into with real estate, is I've only heard horror stories about moving across the country. So people saying their stuff got lost, stuff got damaged. It took 6 weeks to get their stuff and they were sleeping on the floor. So we went into this like really with however you'd say it, like our radar was up and we were getting ready to really go into it. So I mean, this guy really put us at ease just from the beginning. I'll share the next couple things. Okay. So go through the process, sit down with him. He's like, hey, is it okay if we sit down and I just kind of walk you through all the details? He starts out by, and I truly was on a time crunch, and I told him, hey, I'm just going to be frank with you. I've got, just like I told you at the beginning, I've only got 15 minutes left. No problem. Right. So he sits down. The first thing he says is, hey, like you guys had told me, I know this is your first experience going through this. As you meet with other people, once again, inviting that, knowing that might be an objection, I just want you guys to know, here are the major red flags to watch out for. And he presented us with, a list. If people are not, insured, if people want cash up front, that is not something that we do in this industry. Do not put a deposit down. Do not do that. Right. He shared like 5-6 different things that were like, hey, I don't care if you work with us, but just watch out for these things, because this is not acceptable. This is not something we do, blah, 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 blah. So I loved that. And what are your guys' thoughts?
It's just like real estate. People don't buy and sell homes all that often, even if they did 8 years ago, like things have changed and maybe you forget things, and it's not very often you move across the country, And so he again kind of knows what happens in the process and kind of educated you. And even just by doing that, automatically in your mind, he's an authority. Like this guy knows what he's talking about, and he doesn't have to say it. He's using other people, other companies as an example, and it's building up his credibility in your mind.
Mm-hmm. So he inspired what in you guys, in you and your wife?
Confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything we talk about always comes back to confidence. And the story I was going to share has the same central theme.
Mm. Yeah. And the thing is that he does that I love about that strategy, and why I love meeting with prospects in real estate first, is it allows us, like he did, to set the tone and create the rules. So now he has set all these landmines for, if I meet with another company and they say something, all of a sudden my confidence is lost. And I'm like, I have a massive comparison now to go off of. And it's not just price. All of a sudden, the value that he has brought in is some things that are irreplaceable, like your stuff. Like these things are valuable. These things, you can't replace. These things you can. All those different types of things that maybe a couple $1,000 just isn't worth risking.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
100%. And Ben, how did that guy look when he showed up to meet with you?
Oh, great. I'm glad you brought that up because it stuck out like a sore thumb in that industry. You just don't know, but he was head to toe. He nothing crazy, but he had, took his shoes off right when he got in, but he had black pants on and a company black shirt. So he had a uniform. It was a collared like polo shirt and it just tucked in shirt. He looked professional.
Yeah. Before he opened his mouth, you had certain preconceived notions about this guy, right?
Yeah. In the company, right? Because, they took the time to make sure that he was equipped. He had an iPad, like he was put together.
Yeah.
The last thing that I'll share is something he did that is a strategy that I've heard and used, and something that I heard from Alex Hormozi first. But it's, hey, just so you guys know, like as you prepare for your move, we give you 30 free boxes. And I laughed and I was like, yeah, 30 free boxes. Right. We're spending X amount of money. They're free. Sure. Whatever. Yeah. And he goes, but obviously you guys need about, 100+ boxes. As you guys are looking for it, you guys have, 4 or 5 TVs. We are not the cheapest for boxes. So when you come to pick up your boxes, you can get the normal, like small, medium, and large from us. Those are comparable to everybody, but like, unless it's just convenience, don't buy our wardrobe boxes and don't buy our TV boxes. Cause they're like double. Get those from U-Haul or even like Amazon. And you'll save they're half the price there. So I was just like blown away that he knew to say that.
Let me guess, you bought their boxes anyway because of that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it's like all of a sudden, you create that. Well, you guys tell me, what do you think about that?
Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah. I mean, he's taking a page out of the reverse selling sales book, right? He's speaking against his own interest, and he's what do we call it? We lay on the grenade before it goes off. Or if you know a bomb's going to blow up, you blow it up first. And he just did that. I mean, he must have read the book.
That's right. Must have.
That's awesome.
Must have. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing as well is he what's the saying? Like, lose the battle, win the war, or whatever. Mm-hmm. How's that go?
Yeah.
Like he knows it's not about the boxes. It's about the bigger picture. And he's being completely transparent. He's being completely, like you said, laying on a grenade and willing to give something up to gain something bigger. And once again, it just builds confidence and authority in the industry. So,
and have you moved yet?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll have to circle back when the move is over and see if they've delivered the concierge service that they're projecting they're going to deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like they will. Like the biggest thing I take away from that, just obviously there's a lot of good nuggets there, but to me, the guy understands, and he didn't use any scripts, he knows the process from A to Z, and he knows how to ask questions about the things that come up throughout the process. Like if you just know what your customer, or in this case, your client goes through even in their mind, and just interviewing agents, and they're going to ask about the commission, and they're going to ask, what are you going to do different to sell my home? Like just know these things and bring them up before they do and have an answer. It sounds overly simple because of all of the content out there. And we put out a lot of content about these different things, but it can be a lot more simple than, memorizing 100-page script book, just know the process and know the questions to ask around the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome. Dom, do you have a story that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I do actually. When this subject came up, I thought of the one thing specifically came to mind right away. And that's where I take my car for service. I don't have a big fancy car. We've been driving Infinities in our family for nearly 20 years because they're just bulletproof reliable, right?
Yeah.
And prior to that, I always worked on my own cars. I just couldn't bear the thought of paying a dealer like inflated prices. But the first time we took our Infinity to the Infinity dealership. And by the way, that experience continues to today, nearly 20 years. It's the same thing every single time. It's highly predictable. A well-dressed service manager, just like you described, nice black slacks, nice shoes, a button-down shirt, greets me at the door. Hello, Mr. Zimmer. It's nice to see you this morning. When you filled out the form last night, you indicated that you'd like an oil change, tires rotated, and of course, we'll do a full, whatever it is, 75-point check on your car and let you know if there's something that needs service that you hadn't noticed. Every time. And then I go into their little lounge. There's coffee, there's snacks. Somebody comes and asks if there's anything that they can do for me, if they'd like me to call. If it's going to be an extended service, they offer me a car. It's concierge all the way. And if I leave, somebody calls me and says, Mr. Zimmer, it looks like there's a loose thingamajiggy. Would you like us to address that? And my point is, though, at the end of this, the service is so good and so comprehensive. I just pay what they're asking, and I know that it's more than I would be charged somewhere else at an independent garage, right? But the experience is so good from start to finish that I don't question the price at the end.
Yeah. That's so good. And we could definitely have some takeaways from that, but you just made me think of one that I wasn't even thinking of, and it's funny, in the mastermind, the masterclass we released in July is actually kind of around what I just thought of. It's the masterclass is called Creating Raving Fans.
Yeah.
And for this experience, it made me think of like sales through service. So not just your words and like the questions you ask customers, those are important, but like how you actually deliver to your clients. You just made me think of the guy we go to for our oil changes and things like that. I'll be honest with you, the garage itself and the place and like, where you go to sit down or what, it's not very nice. Like it's really not, it's kind of gross. And he's got a couple of guys who work for him and they're, they do a good job in the cars, but they don't really clean up. But man, I'm never going to go to anybody else but this guy for my oil changes, for anything. And I can tell you a handful of experiences, but just one in particular. My wife got some new brakes on her car probably like 4 or 5 months ago. And for whatever reason, after they were put on, it was still like kind of squeaking, you got that, like that high pitch kind of when you stop and it squeaks. Well, this guy always does a great job. He always goes above and beyond, and we bring it back to him. And he's always willing to spend as much time as he has to with us to make sure we're happy. And that's his thing. He always says, man, I just want your wife to be happy. Like that's the most important thing, that she's not upset. Every time we'd bring it back up, because we could still hear it squeaking, he'd drive it with us for like 5-10 minutes. He couldn't hear it. And then we're like, all right, well, we'll see if it goes away. Happens again, like as we're leaving the place. And so the couple days later we come back, he still can't hear it, but he's like, I tell you what, I'm going to take care of this. Don't worry about it. We'll get the brakes warranted and I'll replace them for you, like free of charge. Well, and we've been going to this guy to get our oil changed for, a year or two now. So he kind of knows us and we're good. Well, he goes back to wherever he bought the brakes from, and they won't warranty them for him for whatever reason. They're like, oh, we can't find it in our system, or I don't know what happened, but they're like, we won't warranty it for him. The guy buys the brakes, spends the $200-300, and puts them on for us. And he told us what happened, and he wouldn't take our money. He spent $300 out of his own pocket to replace the brakes because and he will not take our money for it. And then those brakes, this is just wild. Those brakes, a week later, when you're stopping, the car's like shaking. It's like, they're like warped. And he has a mechanic shop. And then he took care of those as well. So just that kind of service, going above and beyond. He lost that battle. He spent a couple $100 on those brakes, but he won the war. He's got a customer for life, because he's always taking care of us in that way.
Yeah. The key takeaway from that would be, if someone says, Colton, man, I freaking need to get an oil change, where should I go?
Oh, our whole family goes to this guy.
Yeah.
Our whole family. Yeah. So, and it just like relating back to real estate, like with a for sale by owner as an example, how we talk about a lot about, like when we're doing previews or holding the house open for them, like just think, what can I do for these homeowners? Like, can I spend $100 sending out postcards throughout the neighborhood just to hey, I want to work for you. Like, let me show you, give you a little taste, and like spend a little bit of money to just share with them and just think of things that you can do for your clients that are above and beyond that might cost you a couple bucks. But even if you don't get that listing, like what are they going to say about you to the people they know?
So, so that guy and the guy that Ben talked to, the mover, and the service department at Infinity, like they just don't do that for me. That is the same process for every single person that walks through the door. And when I go and meet with somebody in a listing presentation situation, I have the same process. Like it's here, everybody gets the same presentation. They get, when their home goes on the market, they go through the same steps. It is reliable and it's repeatable. And people like that. They like to know what's coming. Here's what's going to happen next. If you use that phrase in real estate throughout the process of a transaction, from the very beginning to the very end, people like to know what's happening, and they certainly like it when you deliver on that.
Yeah.
And I think it all comes back to what's your business plan? What are your core values? What's your mission? Because when things go off the rails, that's when you really find out if somebody believes what they say they're saying, right? That's when the real color shows. So your mechanic, like he lives and dies by his core values. His, and you know, simplest way to say it is his integrity, right? He doesn't just say these things and have them on the wall as a slogan. He lives them, right? Same thing with Infinity, right? They're going to take care of you when it's good and when it's bad. And that I think is more important, is when things go bad, how are people reacting? What are they doing? Or are they just throwing you to the wind? And clearly, you know, your mechanic, I mean, he lives and dies. Like he truly believes in that and knows he wins and he loses sometimes. And that's business.
Yeah. Man, I know we're coming up on time here. Do you guys have any other quick examples, good or bad, that you can think of you'd like to share?
I mean, think about the times that you have gone into a restaurant. I can't think of a particular occasion right now, but this is a good place where it happens frequently, where some part of the service falls down, right? You might have a great waiter, but it takes forever to get the food. The food's not good, or it could be the vice versa. You have a horrible wait person. They're rude, they're inconsiderate, they're inattentive, but the food's good. It doesn't take much to spoil the overall experience. So I guess I would relate that to real estate by saying, hey, it's important. Every step of the way is important to provide a top-notch experience. And things do go wrong, as Ben was saying, and it's how you react when things go wrong. Are you confident, cool, calm, collected, and provide a solution to your client without letting things get spun out?
Yeah. You know, you just made me think of something that in terms of experiences, like at restaurants, as an example, some of the best experiences I've had, like every time I've like thought to myself, like, God, that was the best waiter or waitress that I've ever had. I mean, it's not because they had some cute line they say to you, or they remembered your order. Like, not only did they just deliver really good service, but I remember distinctly of all the few that I'm thinking of, like they all did it a little bit different, but they were just themselves. Like they just had a personality. They were just different. They weren't trying to appease us or make us like, they were just happy and good in their own space. And then as they showed up for their job and delivered on the order or took care of something when it fell apart, or, you know, they messed up that meal, I'm going to take it off I'll take it off the bill. It wasn't even that. It was just the whole experience and how, again, we talk about this all the time, how they make you feel. Right.
And so you speaking to authenticity?
Yes. Authenticity. That's exactly right. And I think a lot of the times as we're learning how to give a listing presentation or how to talk to clients over the phone, like we're too focused on the script or asking the right questions. And we forget about like, man, you know, if Brandon says to do it this way and Brandon's really good at doing it, but that's just not who you are. Like, maybe say it a little bit different. It'll have the same effect, you know? So don't try to be Brandon. Don't try to be Ben. Just like get the principle of what the point is and be authentic with it for yourself.
Totally. I'll share one quick story maybe to end on. One more experience I had, and what makes me think of this is I think it's just so easy to win in business, especially in service. And I think you could go in and disrupt any industry or whatever with this. And it's do what you say you're going to do and call people back. It's that simple, right? And it's so funny. I recently was flying with my whole family, and we've got, I don't know, nobody publicly probably knows this, but we have triplets that are under a year old, and we have a 3-year-old, right? So, flying across the country is not fun, but the golf clubs did not make it in the bag count to make it on the plane. So there's a company that I know well, but I've never used, called Shipsticks. And it is a company that, like, you can go to UPS, you can go to FedEx, and you can say, I want to ship my golf clubs, and they'll ship them for you. This company made a business out of just shipping golf clubs. Wow. And it's phenomenal. And what they do is, it's an app, you download it, and you tell them where you want them to pick the clubs up. If you have a travel golf bag, you just print out the ticket they give you, you slap it on, and somebody comes and picks it up, right? It's FedEx or UPS. And then they deliver it. So, I keep my golf clubs at a golf club. So they picked them up there and they delivered them somewhere else. But I had them at my house. So they weren't there yet. And they saw that I put this order in, and they called me and they said, Mr. Riles, we see, and he sounded like a completely normal person, like somebody that I was like, hey, when I get there, can we play golf together?
Yeah.
Right? But he's like, hey, Mr. Riles, like, I just see that, you had scheduled to have your clubs picked up today, and they weren't there when we went to pick them up. And, it looked like it was important to you to have them there by the 21st. I don't know what we can do. Are you still going on this trip? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still going on. Well, we could maybe work something out if you got them there today, but if you can't get them there tomorrow, like they might be delayed a day. We might be able to speed that up for you. But like, I was like, oh yeah, no, it's no rush. I didn't have a chance to get them there. Let's just reschedule it. But like, the guy called me, and I was blown away just by like that they actually called me and were like, hey, they were supposed to be dropped off. They weren't dropped off. What's going on? So just something as simple as logistics,
right,
and shipping something, but they went way over and beyond by just making a phone call. And I mean, it just blew me away. And I guess where I was going with this is I've told dozens of people about that, right?
Now thousands.
Yeah, there you
this
go.
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, I just think it's so easy to be different by just communicating, making a phone call versus, going and hiding or not responding and being afraid of something happening, and just being transparent. Like, he told me it's going to be delayed. What can I do to help you, make this right? And it was that easy. And now he's got a raving fan.
Yeah.
So what's the central theme of today's conversation?
Communication. Be authentic.
Yeah. Fabulous customer service through communication, authenticity. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And price is not always the most important thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good episode,
super
boys.
fun, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging on the podcast, Dom. You're probably a better replacement for Brandon. I don't know if he'll have a channel anymore.
Don't go saying that out loud. I think he just
replaced them officially on his own channel. So, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging. We'll see you on the next one.
See you guys later. Bye.